In today's video, we're going to be talking about which quarterback I think will be starting for the Patriots and also just some bonus options, which I think are also possible. So I'm going to be talking about all the possible scenarios within this video because let's be real, there is a huge question mark on the Patriots team, and that is the quarterback position. We've basically locked down the tight end position. We've locked down the linebacker position. The cornerback situation seems pretty good. Same story with the safeties. The defensive line is a little shaky, but that offensive line, the tight ends, and the wide receivers seems figured out. So the quarterback position is one of the only positional groups that seems to be really a big question mark at this point, whether they're going to be good or bad, or who's going to be there or who's not going to be there. There's just a lot of questions to go over. Let's go over the obvious one here, Cam Newton. And he had his second worst year of his career. The year before that, he was dealing with some serious injury issues. So he had 2,657 yards, 8 passing touchdowns. So that is the second least on both of those numbers outside of 2019, where, again, he only played in 2 games. So really bad season for him just on his career. Honestly, there is plenty of excuses to go around. The wide receiver core and the tight end core basically had 0 weapons, so he had nothing to work with. The offensive line wasn't as good as it's going to be likely this year. So we've basically improved on each of those positions: offensive line, tight end, and wide receiver drastically on all 3. So going into this season, let's assume that Cam Newton is the starter. No excuses this season, okay? No excuses, because we have a massively improved offensive line, a massively improved tight end group, and then hopefully an improved wide receiver core, it appears, because we brought in 2 new wide receivers as well there. So we've kind of revamped the entire offense around Cam Newton. So if he was the starter, he should have a much easier time with much less pressure on him to perform, running around, making plays by himself. There should be much better players around him to help him make those plays. Also, the defense should put a lot less pressure on Cam Newton, because there's probably going to be a lot of games this upcoming season where we're just holding teams to very low points, under 20 points per game. Should be easy wins on multiple games, kind of like we had in 2019 in the beginning of that season. I'm expecting very similar results from this defense we're going to have this year. So overall, there was a lot of pressure on Cam Newton last season. There's not a lot of pressure on Cam Newton this season if he is going to be able to perform around these great players with the defense, keeping the other team to very low scores, and he's going to have a full offseason. So no excuses this year for Cam Newton if he is the starter. At this point, I think there's a very good chance that Cam Newton will be the starter this season. It seems like everything has steered in that direction. I am assuming Cam Newton is going to be the starter this season. But let's talk about some other quarterbacks. Jarrett Stidham, and I'm still very excited about him. He did show a lot of promise in some of those games where he played. He threw some excellent passes, so the potential is there, but his decision-making and kind of just his vision as far as where he should be passing and where he should not be passing is absolutely not there. So mentally, there needs to be some drastic improvement before Jarrett Stidham could be a starting NFL quarterback. Will he likely be a starting quarterback in the NFL? I don't really know at this point. I'm giving it a 50-50. I think he could be a very solid backup or potentially a starting quarterback at some point. But for now, the physical talent is certainly there, but that mental decision-making is very much so a struggle for him so far. He threw 3 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. That's a very concerning number, obviously. And a lot of those interceptions were, pretty bad. And then also, I remember at least 1 or 2 of those 3 interceptions from last year was definitely the wide receiver's fault as well, like tipped passes, things of that nature. But the one from 2019 and then I think at least 1 from 2020 was very bad on Jarrett Stidham's part. So we're going to need to see some very good improvement there. Now, another one that's been a very popular possible quarterback for the Patriots is Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, this is going to be quick because the 49ers have made it very clear that they have no interest in trading Jimmy Garoppolo. They want to keep him around. He has a very huge contract. It would take a lot of cap space away from the Patriots, and it would take a lot of cap space away from the 49ers still, and they wouldn't get the benefit of having him on their team. So it makes a lot more sense for the 49ers not to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. So I am 90% confident that Jimmy Garoppolo will play for the 49ers this season, or be on their team at least, and not be traded. And they've made it very clear over at the 49ers that they are not going to trade him unless they get a ridiculously great offer. And I don't think Bill Belichick is going to over trade for Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. Now, another popular trade option that people have been discussing for a while is Dashaun Watson, and I don't think he's going to get traded anytime soon. I don't think Bill Belichick is going to take that big of a risk with all of the allegations flying around. It just seems like a bad idea. Whether they're true or not at this point, you don't want to trade a bunch of assets away for a potential big risk like that. I don't think Bill Belichick's going to be doing that. I think he's confident enough rolling with either Cam Newton and then possibly drafting a quarterback as well, which we will talk about in a second. Or I think it would be even more likely that they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it's much more likely that we get Jimmy Garoppolo than Deshaun Watson, although I just said there's a 90% chance that we do not get Jimmy Garoppolo. So both are just very, very low probability at this point. Now, speaking about the draft, this is where it gets interesting. So, like I said, in my opinion, Cam Newton will be on the team this upcoming season, and he will be the starter quarterback to start things out. The interesting thing is that does not mean we won't draft a quarterback, obviously. They could draft a quarterback and have him sit around, let him develop within the system a little bit, and then give him some playing time throughout the season or potentially later down the road next season or the season after. There's lots of potential options. Now, the most popular one that I see is Mac Jones, and I think it's one of the more realistic ones for where we're going to be at in the draft. We're going to be more towards the middle, but towards the front end of the first round there, and I think that's a good place for Mac Jones. There is a chance that he gets picked before we would have the opportunity to pick him, but if we do see him still on the draft board when we are selecting, I would not be surprised to see Mac Jones get picked up. He's been drastically improving throughout his career there at Alabama. In 2019, he only had 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's a really good ratio, by the way. But then in his junior year, 2020, 4,500 yards and then 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. A huge jump in his numbers, obviously, and a drastic improvement. And he has been impressing as of late during his pro day. I've been hearing news like that. Just a very great leader, a winner there from Alabama, and a talented player. So that would be a good pickup for the Patriots, in my opinion, Mac Jones. And he's not like a top 5 pick. So what you're getting out of Mac Jones is a player that you can have sit behind Cam Newton for a year. You can let him develop and give him time to really flourish into the system. So I think it's a very, very good pick for the Patriots if they decided to go that route, and it does not mean that Cam Newton would not be starting. Is there a chance they trade up? Yeah, but I think it's a very slim chance. They could trade up a couple of picks and grab somebody like Mac Jones if they feel like that player might be about to get taken. The interesting thing is there's a huge variance on where mock drafts think Mac Jones is going to go in the draft. Some of them have him in the top 5, which seems to be an increasingly popular opinion. And then some have him falling way back past the top 10 picks. We're going to be picking at 15. So we would need him to obviously fall a little bit under where they're expecting him to go at this point. There's also plenty of other quarterbacks that are kind of in that around 10 range. Justin Fields, who I think a team would trade up if Justin Fields fell, anywhere close to the 10th pick. So we'll be watching for that. But also Trey Lance, that's another quarterback who's going to be kind of in that middle of the first round range. That's another one who popularly we've seen the Patriots, being rumored to wanting to draft him. So the 3 top quarterbacks in the draft as far as the first round that the Patriots would likely be considering is Trey Lance, or Justin Fields, or Mac Jones. I think that's the top 3 that I would think is the highest likelihood of them drafting if they decided to draft a quarterback in the first round. I could also see them drafting a quarterback in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, something like that as well, somewhere later on where they have just high confidence in that player. For instance, Jarrett Stidham was picked, I think, in the 4th or 5th round, and he's been at least a solid developmental quarterback. So there is opportunities for some quarterbacks that do have potential in the middle rounds of the draft, late rounds of the draft as well, or a little bit later in the early rounds of the draft is also where you can get some higher quality players because, we see that Jimmy Garoppolo was drafted in the 2nd round of the draft, and then we had Jacoby Brissett drafted in the 3rd round, I believe, as well, and he ended up being a solid quarterback as well. So you can get some good quarterbacks in that 2nd and 3rd round of the draft as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots do, but in my opinion, this is what they're going to do. They're going to roll with Cam Newton, and I know that's not a very popular opinion, but I think he is going to be the starter unless they draft somebody in that player in minicamp and preseason just ends up way outperforming Cam Newton and just coming way off to a hot start. I think Cam Newton's going to be the starter. I expect there's a very high probability that we draft a quarterback in this draft at some point. I think there's a 50% chance we draft a quarterback in the first round, a 50% chance we take a different position potentially as well, some other position. But I'm very confident that at some point in the draft, there will be a quarterback coming to the Patriots from the draft, especially in the front end of that draft. I think somewhere between the first and fourth round, there's a 90% chance we're taking a quarterback. That's just my opinion, though. We would have that quarterback that they have high confidence in sit behind Cam Newton, because let's be real, Cam Newton isn't the future of the Patriots. Cam Newton isn't going to be the Patriots quarterback in 5 years. So they're going to be, in the next couple of seasons, very much so trying to figure out that situation, the future of the quarterback position of the Patriots. That's why I'm so confident they're going to be bringing in a young quarterback this offseason. Somehow, some way, unless they really believe Jarrett Stidham is the starter of the future, they're going to be bringing in a new young guy. And even if they do think Jarrett Stidham is the starter of the future, I think they would still attempt to bring in a young quarterback as well to compete for that position either way. So that's my opinion. Cam Newton's the starter. They're going to be bringing in a younger quarterback here in the draft about a month from now. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is my take on the quarterback position going into this ending portion of this offseason. I'm going to be updating this topic obviously a little bit later on. Be sure to destroy that like button as I'm trying to grow this channel. Also subscribe if you like Patriots related content. I hope you guys have an awesome day.